Hello and welcome to another afternoon of lovely Link to the Past Randomizer League play. I will be one of your co-commentators, Ben Creighton. With me is TechnoLink.
And that's me.
And today our two teams are Land of the Blind versus the Last Locationers here in the Misery Mire division of the Dark World Conference.
Yeah, I had to actually find my Moon Pearl in order to commentate this seed, and well, apparently I did, because else I would not be able to actually perform any actions here. Yeah, so week 7, co-op all dungeons is going to be one heck of a game here between Goomba, Illus, and Yodonashi and Worldwide Wimpy. I mean, yeah.
So
Ben, you are looking at Worldwide. Well, rather, you are on the team of Land of the Blind. How do you estimate your chances?
Oh, slim and none. Last Locationers are bucking for second place in the Misery Mire division. We're just happy to have any wins on the board, but we're here to have fun and try and put on a good showing.
All right. Yeah, well, anything can happen. It is Randomizer after all. And, well, it looks like we are going to get started. And immediately, well, I guess this is also co-op.
Yep.
You have to talk to each other, so your routes will immediately diverge.
in Link's house.
And that's what we're seeing right now.
This is, as the 7th week, this is the co-op week, meaning the two players on the left are communicating through voice chat, as are the two players on the right sharing information in this all-dungeon seed.
Exactly, and as a result, you will immediately see that, like I said earlier, the paths will diverge, and you will try to cover as much as you can in the early spheres. And well, depending on whether or not the seat opens up, we're either going to see some very linear movement, or of course, if it does actually open up, well, then I'm assuming they're going to be separating their paths in order to check as much as possible.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like our early progression is on Uncle. We've got an early Moon Pearl, 1/3 of what we'll need for Dark World access.
And looks like Illus is going to be picking up some bombs early on. Most likely going to be heading over to Eastern Palace. And, well, Eastern Palace oftentimes has a lot of stuff. And it's good to get it out of the way. Let's see what we're going to be getting. So first, the hut.
Looks like that's an ice rod in the chicken hut today. In our all-dungeon seed, we know we will need that in order to face off against Trinex.
Yeah, and if the seed turns into would have turned into an ice rod hunt, well, then well, co-op week just makes that a bit easier. But getting that out of the way this early on, yeah, that's going to make life a lot more relaxed for these players here. Although, well, given the experience that they all have, it shouldn't be all that much of a problem. So in the meantime, as well, we find the flippers as well in the well. We also find the book in Blind's hideout. As well as some more rupees. This is a yeah, well, it's giving them quite a few options, because getting the flippers will allow them to actually get a nice get a few more opportunities to check.
Yep, and with this being a co-op seed, with our runners being able to split up checks, you see some plays that you wouldn't normally see, like Illus illustrating what's inside of Eastern Palace for us.
And actually finding the bow, so they can now clear it. So what else are we going to be finding here in this Eastern Palace? So we found the bow, and well, we technically can't clear it, of course, because logic dictates that you need the lamp in order to do so. But knowing Illus, he's not that afraid of dark rooms.
Looks like we've also got an ether medallion in that palace.
Eastern Palace is quite stacked here with what it has to offer. Finding the rupee, so that's I believe the final item that they can get here in Eastern Palace.
Yep, letting him skip the vanilla big key chest and head along into the dark room. Thankfully, having that nice sparkly red boomerang to help with navigation here, he's going to have to be a little careful because he only has so many arrows to go around to try to take care of this dark Igor and grab the key, which he does.
If you run out of arrows here, you already picked up the arrows earlier, so he's not going to be able to actually do all much. However, this should be fine. Now that he's actually cleared this pot, he's going to pick up some more arrows into the pots and head over to the first boss of the game.
And folks in the chat who are asking, each team will be scored according to the average time of their two runners. So even if one runner winds up being behind, their execution will still matter to their team's final score.
Exactly. And that's also one of the things that you will be seeing here is getting all the information is very important, and also here in this part, Illus needs to be very careful with his arrows because he does not want to run out. And now he has 25 arrows to actually clear the Armos Knights. And well, again, knowing how experienced Illus is, and especially looking at how he's running, that should be no problem whatsoever. Very clean fight there.
Absolutely. Takes the slightly safer strat of starting at the lower right in that boss fight instead of going for the quick kill, which is a little bit faster, but if you miss just one shot, then you're winding up having to spend extra arrows.
Exactly. And, well, very well played here by Illus, already getting the first crystal of the game. And, well, it's at this point, we will have to figure out where to go next. You can see Land of the Blind heading straight into Desert Palace, but doesn't really have access to anything there. Whereas Illus now heading towards the bottom side of the map.
Meanwhile, Yodonashi taking an unfortunate Moldorm Cave death.
That's quite painful, but he should be able to quickly come back and get what he needs. Actually decides, I'm not going for that first, I'm going to just check out Hyrule Castle first. So
yep, with Wimpy heading in there instead. We can see what he'll be finding in a second over on Illus' side, which is a blue mail, 300 rupees, and a bottle with a blue goo. So nothing strictly required, but definitely some nice safeties to be had there. And much like last week's pilot seed, the nature of the beast in co-op is that you're going to wind up doing some low percentage plays more likely than not since you're skipping so many checks. And Wimpy, unfortunately, also taking a Moldorm Cave death. That's a little rough on the Land of the Blind side.
yeah, and now finally Yodonashi also finding that Moon Pearl, which means that we're one step closer to that Dark World axis. Meantime, Illus heading over to Ice Rod Cave. I don't believe we've seen that one yet. So let's find out what's inside. And it is...
Just $20. I'm trying to think where else our progression could be hiding because we still have no glove and no hammer in evidence.
Well, we do have the flippers, so we can go to Zora. Illus actually has a lot of money on him, so he can, if he finds an additional 60 rupees, actually go check out King Zora. But we also have the hobo, the man on the bridge, and we have the ability to... Oh wait, he actually doesn't have the flipper, so he's trying to fake flipper over to the man under the bridge.
Yep, normally this would be a sequence break. Of course, he knows through voice chat with Goomba that those flippers are available to him. So, not as much of a sequence break as it normally would be.
Well, actually, not too bad of an idea, to be honest. Check out this check, just because of the fact that it takes quite a while to get here, especially without the Dark World mirror access. And finding out only bombs, so Goomba doesn't have to check it.
Yep, that's a nice little time save for Goomba. And with the Moon Pearl in tow, Illus will be able to water walk into the fairy fountain. So he's got a couple more chances to hope to be able to grab enough money for King Zora. He'll also be able to scout out what's on the ledge.
Speaking of ledge, we just found a hookshot in Escape. So that's a nice find there for Wimpy. And Goomba is also going to be finding that one.
Yep, at this point, they're really hoping for mountain access to give that hook shot some value. Until then, it's another way to get a stun on an enemy, and that's about it with what we have access to right now. Fairy Fountain has the boots.
Yeah, wonderful fairy with boots. That's, it's a nice find for Illus. Now it's the question, is there anything on Zora Ledge at this point? Because without flippers, you do not have logical access, and fortunately for Illus, it's only a piece of heart. But he does not get the chance to check Zora. So he's now hoping that those boots are going to give him the progression that. And he's immediately going to be checking out the bomb rocks, so that makes a lot of sense. Actually, deciding not to. Okay, he just dashes past.
Oop, looks like he might have been thinking 2 steps ahead instead of the one right in front of him, but thankfully realizes his mistake and turns around. As
actually tosses the frozen guard.
Yep.
I did not know that was possible.
Link to the Past is such a weird game with so much bizarre edge case tech. You learn something new every day.
And this is the beauty of watching these streams and watching these runners. And, well, interestingly, Goomba now heading into something that he does not have logical access to, also known as Dark Cross. Fortunately, he does have a hookshot, so he actually can find out where he is without, having a sword to actually give you a bit of guidance through this part, and also it makes short work of those ropes.
Yes, indeed. Probably could have done all right with just that red boomerang, but that hook shot makes life just a little bit easier for him.
And it has nothing. So,
meanwhile, on Land of the Blind side, Wimpy heading into his own Eastern Palace.
He's going to be happy finding that bow, but now the question is, where is the next set of progression that we need?
It's really looking like Zora might be the play at this point.
It's getting more likely by the moment, yeah. Well, we do have boots, And I didn't quite catch what was on the Desert Palace torch.
Oh, that's true. I'm not sure if quite a few of our runners have gone into Desert Palace at this point, but I'm not sure if any of them checked that.
And yeah, we're being actually pointed out that another option to open, the sick kit. We got a bottle, so we can actually check the sick kit as well.
Ah, very true. Which might make that otherwise safety heavy but progression light mini Moldorm Cave have progression after all. And it looks like Goomba might be giving us a look at Zora.
Well, he has more money than Illus did when Illus actually appeared there. And it looks like the routes of the two teams are now starting to come, at the very least, come to the same conclusion. Okay, we're running out of checks.
And unfortunately, Wimpy attempting to navigate that dark room, having less luck in Eastern Palace than the last locationers did. He used up all his arrows, wasn't able to get that key, and he's taken a death warp.
Okay, well, let's take a quick look at Goomba here, now heading over to Zora. And what does he have? He has the cape. Well,
Yeah, maybe Illus will have some progression
Lab.
for us here. Sick kid.
No.
No.
Okay. So what is left? We have all the. I think we only have desert left, and desert is going to have to give us. A lamp and a sword. I guess that's the only option remaining at this point.
Yeah, I suppose so. Have we seen a Gina? I know we've had a few runners head down towards the desert area, but I don't know.
Flute
Seems
is
like an
also
odd one to skip.
Yeah, chat is also pointing out that flute is also a possibility because it gives them Death Mountain access.
That's true. Either, yeah, flute alone would give access to Paradox Cave at this point. That would open up quite a few checks.
Yeah, and lamp would actually open up the back of Hyrule Castle, so that's as well as glove. So there are some checks left. This is a well, Goomba and Illus giving their teammate a high five as they both pass into Desert Palace. You get the big key, so.
Yeah, not something that you see too terribly often in co-op is a near sync between two teammates, but the last locationer is living up to their name.
Well, this might be key for their progression, as they both head to the eastern side of Desert Palace. And Darkross had the bombs, so that's not the solution.
Yep, the back of escape is still locked. Either, well, yeah, we would need glove to get it from the backside because
Okay.
that
One check
small
left.
key that you would get to it through Dark Cross has not been in evidence. And there's the flute!
Well, so it seems. So there are no items remaining in Desert Palace. We also got a quick look at the map. So Desert Palace is a crystal, and Tower of Hera is a pendant. So we're going up the mountain.
Yep, of course, as an all-dungeon seed, the pendant versus crystal distinction is less relevant than usual, although if the 3 pendants wind up coming into play early in the seed, we could have a ped seed in evidence.
Exactly. And I would be very happy with a pet seed.
Yeah, if you have to have a ped seed, this is when you want it.
So the goose is loose, and Illus will be heading up the mountain immediately. Shortly after will be followed by Goomba. And Land the Blind is still unsure where they actually have to go. And for them, of course, well, it's just a matter of time before they decide, well, Desert Palace is basically the only option we have left. Illus immediately heading towards the right side of, or rather the eastern part of Death Mountain. I'm assuming that Goomba will either, will be going for the old man, and this is the power of co-op. You immediately do two parts of the check at one point. Get the old man as well as check Spectacle Rock. That's what I would assume here from Goomba, and have Illus check out Paradox Cave.
And I'm really hoping to see Lamp and Sword here, which would open up AGA 1, giving us that fun AGA 1 but no gloves Dark World access that makes routing just so weird and interesting.
Well, here we go. It's time to find out what is in Paradox Cave and what is on the old man.
There's our lamp.
Well, that was, so where to now?
Lamp doesn't do too much for us that we haven't already done with Dark Rooms, but Spiral Cave is still a possibility. I think that's where our progression has to be hiding. Oh, no! Glove was up in Paradox Cave. Okay. Or not Paradox Cave, sorry. Spectacle Rock Cave.
Well, to be fair, the way that Paradox Cave is, it could basically lead to this one. So I would not be surprised if in a alternate reality that is the case. But we now actually find the gloves, so we have full access to the back of the cave. Lamp and gloves. If of course Goomba decides to go there, and interestingly enough, Goomba deciding, well, immediately heading to the back of Escape.
Oh, and there's Hammer in Spiral Cave.
Okay,
that's World access.
Let's find out what is in the back of Escape as well, as Goomba runs on that side. In the meantime, Yodonashi heading into the Eastern Palace. The Desert Palace, of course.
Back of Escape turns up empty. Just a map, a small key, and $20. Looks like that Hammer in Spiral Cave was indeed where the only progression was hiding.
So, knowing this, where do you go now? Do you immediately head over to Tower of Hera? Well, you do have the hookshot, so you could immediately Herapod in. And that would be a sequence break, though. Like, it would break the logic. Illus actually checking out the Ether tab. And Yodonashi is
does. Illus grabbing the Hera small key, one of those items that you hope is not needed.
Well, we're about to find out.
Okay, so that small key is logically required to get a big key that's hiding in the Hera basement. And it looks like Illus is opting to go grab it. This is one of those edge plays. If he had Hera-potted up without that big key, he'd be risking leaving an item behind in big chest. He's taking the safer but lengthier play here by waiting through tile room.
And it actually makes sense because Goomba still has to find that hammer. And actually, he already found the... Yeah, he's going to find the hammer here in Twilight. So, by going into this basement, he's going to be able to find that big key and check out if it's needed for Goomba. And then Goomba can elect to skip it if it's not. So,
very true. Yeah, in co-op, whichever of your partners is further ahead, that's the one that can afford to spend time with these lengthier checks.
And by the time they actually catch up, they can force a. They can make the decision then. So Illus now setting up to go back upstairs. And
Illus does take the one of the faster but more difficult ways to set up Heraclip there with the hookshot speed glitch.
I do like how Goomba has decided to not follow Illus into Tower of Hera and just say, okay, we don't need it, we're going straight into the Dark World.
Yep, well, he'll need it sooner or later, but thus far, with only a heart container in that big chest, it's looking like he might be able to just do it directly before Ganon's Tower, the way this is going. As we get our Dark World map check on Goomba's side.
We're going to be finding out what Moldar has for us. I don't recall if he already has all the items so far, but Hammer making short work of this one of the more dangerous bosses that you can follow. And we find a shield as well, so he didn't collect all the items yet.
And so that's a dungeon that Goomba will be able to put off for quite a while. No progression in there. And that heart container is not going to be worth waiting around in that tile room for.
No, especially not knowing both of these players here. Alright, so Goomba now exploring Skullwoods, taking an intentional death there to at the very least warp back to the entrance and also restore some of his health. And heading towards the other part of Skullwoods, most likely. And as long as, of course, chat is already pointing it out, as long as there's nothing on pet, then Goomba can put it off all the way until he needs to enter Ganon's Tower. That's going to save him quite a bit of time. As a result, and if he can, route it so that he can do Turtle Rock as the second to last dungeon, then he's going to be saving a lot of time traveling up and down that mountain.
Yep, chat does point out, however, that with Desert already full clearable and Swamp Palace being a pendant, it is conceivable that the mirror could be in GT, which might throw a slight wrench into that routing.
That is definitely correct. But there's only one way to find out. So actually watch these players progress through Hyrule. And I did not quite catch what was on that ledge. In the meantime, Illus now heading into Palace of Darkness. Another, he has the bow, he has the hammer, so, and he has the lamp, so it is technically he can complete this dungeon.
Yep, and there's a half magic in that first chest. And yeah, this pod play is the way you want to go if you have the means to complete it. Whole lot of checks in here.
Well, at the very least, we know that pod is actually bow locked, so that is a thing.
Meanwhile, Goomba heading into Thieves Town, also full clearable here. Although in both of these cases, boy, it would be a little bit easier if anybody could find a sword.
Well, you will be able to find a sword here in Palace of Darkness, as Land of the Blind is now tracing all those steps that Last Locations already did. Finding the lamp, finding Paradox Cave. As Illus progresses through Palace of Darkness.
Yep, Land of the Blind, feeling the hurt from some of those early execution errors. With the last locationer's team being 2 full dungeons ahead.
He was now going to be checking out that top chest. Makes sense, he has a lot of keys. I'm not completely familiar with the key layout of the first part of Palace of Darkness, so I'm not entirely sure if there's a item in this chest, yes or no.
Yep, turns out it's just a key for a key situation, but probably still, yeah, in fact, it was still worth checking. The way the key logic in Pod works is that there can be only 2 non-small key items in the front of Pod. Turns out they were the half magic and then the big key. So that was definitely worth checking.
Yeah, so Goomba can relatively find the keys on the right side and then immediately head over to that big key room. Rather, get that big key from the front. Oh, the jump is not really... doesn't really want to jump there.
Looks like Illus might be...
I think he's going for Helmasaur King right now. Just clear the dungeon.
Oh, yep. Looks like he is. I thought he might have been wanting to show us off some new tech called the Pog Clip, but I do believe that requires the red cane, so not so much.
Yeah, this is well, to be fair, it is a decent move because it will tell you what is on Helmasaur King, so it might save you a check later on. And unfortunately, he has the bow. Well, he has to have the bow, else he can't get to Helmasaur King, of course. But it's just a matter of getting the shield off and then using the bow to quickly put an end to the Helmasaur King.
Yeah, Helmasaur King, if you have to fight a boss swordless, Helmasaur King's one of the more painless ones to do. Makes things a little quicker if you have that sword to tink off your hammer strikes, but still very doable with hammer and bow. And speaking of swordless boss fights, Goomba taking on Blind with a hammer. Bit of a wonky hitbox, but he's making it look easy.
That is nothing short of incredible movement there from Goomba. Fortunately, survives with 2.5 hearts, but still good, and finds the arrows for his troubles.
Yep, with that blue mail there to work with, he took that first hit, and you could sort of see him say, you know what, I can tank this. I'm just going to wade in and take care of this guy.
At the same time, Illus now dealing with Helmasaur King. Switching to the bow. And it really helps if he stops moving. Excellent work there by Illus. We'll be finding magic powder. Alright, that opens up the bat. Pretty good.
Yep, meanwhile on the lower right, Wimpy attempting a slightly slower but easier setup for the Harapot clip, involving bomb placement and using pause buffer to set up your horizontal coordinate.
Yeah, but he needs to be on guard here because he does not want to be wasting too much time here. And at the same time, it's an interesting play because I believe, did Yodonashi already go into Tower of Hera? I do not believe so.
I don't believe he did, but with with 4 screens to watch, it's entirely possible that I missed it.
There. This is welcome to co-op. There is a lot going on right now here. Goomba not finding anything here at Stumpy, and Illus finishing off Palace of Darkness. We'll be finding 2 keys. probably will. And that means that there could be something in the Harmless Hellway.
And it is
And
the
it
Red
is-
Cane.
Incredible.
Meanwhile, Hype Cave is giving us a blue boomerang. Our first sword of the seed, $300, some bombs, and a little extra pocket coin.
I give it 5 out of 7. But this will actually open up Aghanim as well for the Lost Locationers, if needed. I don't think they will be doing it early. But if there's something on Lumberjack... Have we checked Lumberjack?
You know, I know at least one of our runners did, but that early in the match with all that early divergence, I missed if it was anything.
Okay, if it was chat pointing out it's just a bottle, so never mind. Aghanim 1 is pretty much out of the question, at least for now.
Oh, and there's another sword. Master Sword hanging out on the pyramid.
Well, we fixed the sword problem, or at least Goomba did. And that means that we now also have axe. Ether tablet was nothing; it was single arrow, so no need to check that. And yeah, here we go. The magic bat check.
Meanwhile, in the upper right, Yodonashi having a little trouble with the Armos Knights. Tried to set up for that quick kill, but when you miss that first arrow shot, your muscle memory leaves you, and you just have to muddle through the best you can.
Magic bat gives us a Arcus.
Yodonashi taking down the Armos Knights, and let's see what Catfish has. Just a piece of heart in the upper left.
Well, it's in one way or the other, it's about the same for both Goomba and Illus, but different locations, same item. So, what do you think? Is Illus going to be getting himself those swords quickly, or is he just going to do a few more checks here?
Yeah, I could see him trying to put that off until he has mirror, so that he could route in Cave 45 and shovel.
Speaking of shovel, fire rod has been found.
Ah, looks like Goomba is going to be taking that up into Skullwoods. That's another dungeon that you can take down.
In the meantime, we are going to be seeing Spy Cave, so we're going to be keeping an eye on that. It needs to be very careful, though. He is running out of hit points relatively fast. Has 5 to go. Can he make it? Close.
He does for a mere $20. Meanwhile, Goomba giving us a ped check, and the ped dream is dead today.
I am very disappointed. It's also not what I expected, but then again, I didn't expect anything, so that's fair. It's one of those things you commentate, you hope for the pet, it's not happening. So, no Aghanim required, no pet. Well, this seed is already boring. In the meantime, though, Goomba heading over to Skullwoods and Illus. It looks like he's going to be picking up the swords to make his life a bit easier here.
Yep, well, knowing where the fire rod is, knowing that Skullwoods is in logic, you're going to need a sword for that anyway. Might as well grab it now, knowing that there are only 2 more in the pool, and it's unlikely you will find them elsewhere.
And this is the power here of Cope. Immediately seeing Illus goes into the Hype Cave, only picks up the sword, and that's it. Doesn't even do anything else. Now heading straight over to...
Meanwhile, in the upper right, Yodonashi heading to Landmos, which I believe the first look we'll have at anything they might be hiding. Although, did we find both of the items in desert?
Yeah, we did. We found the flutes, and we found 20 rupees.
That's correct. So, Landmos will have a crystal. No reason not to grab it now, but not going to be progression. And I say no reason not to grab it now. Actually, with no sword, he's going to have to be very judicious with his arrows and ice rod shots. As Illus rents a shovel to dig up a shovel of his very own, and Goomba heads into a Hammerstrats moth fight with, very low health right off the bat. Switching to the safer sword slashes takes that moth down.
And gets himself a big key for his troubles. So that's pretty nice. And I actually forgot whether or not we found both items in Skullwoods.
I'm not sure, but I'm willing to bet that we'll find out in short order. Meanwhile, Yodonashi taking down that last landmo worm with his last final ice rod shot and picking up the second crystal on the Land of the Blind side.
Okay, it is heading out here. Picks up a blue potion. And heads over into Kakuriko village. He's going to have an easier time here in terms of routing. He can immediately do Skullwoods as well as Thieves Town.
Goomba pulling out a bit of a swag hover on the upper left, finding just some bombs for his trouble as if to taunt him. You know, this is a real easy bomb jump, but no, you're going to have... Okay.
Well, and now with Skullwoods and Thieves Town available, there's another check that has become available for us, and that is the Pyramid Ferry. And in order to have progression, we would need a glove to access Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, Ice Path. No, Turtle. Yeah, we can have Turtle Rock if we clear Pod. So, yeah, Titan's bits. That would be a good thing. Titan's Mitts or Mirror. Mirror would also work, then you get Swamp Palace access. So yeah, plenty of options here.
Goomba showing off some of this fun red bomb manipulation tech.
Well, it's now gone,
Is it?
so...
Unfortunate.
Nice, that's just a bit too much. It has to go all the way back to get that bomb again. That bomb owner is probably going to be very happy. That's the most money he's made in ages. Alright. This time Goomba's taking it a bit more safe. I can figure after that, right then.
Yeah, that's definitely the sort of thing where you can try it the first time. Oh, takes a little dash there. He's not playing it entirely safe.
Yeah, he's just having a bit of fun with the red bomb. So, yeah, for those who are just tuning in, it is a co-op all dungeons. So last week we had a someone executing, and here we have the Titan's Myth. So, well, basically everything is open right now. But to get back to the explanation, last week we had a pilot and we had a navigator. So someone had to run the seeds, and someone had access to the full spoiler log to tell you where to go. This week, however, we have two people running side by side in an all dungeon seed. So they have to complete all dungeons, as well as Aghanim 1 and Aghanim 2 in order to beat Ganon. So, yeah, that's the difference between this week and I believe there are some additional differences, right, Ben?
So in both cases, our runners are in constant voice communication with one another, sharing information at all times. Last week was Key Sanity, this week is not. So all those dungeons, once you can get into them, you can go ahead and clear them, don't have to worry about keys. Meanwhile, looks like Goomba's giving us our first look at Dark Death Mountain, putting those Titan's mitts to good use.
Oh, Super Bunny Cave, here we come. Find bombs. And rupees.
And I believe at this point, we're just looking for mirror and possibly medallions for Go mode. Or at least no mode over here on the commentator's side.
Yeah, if Turok and Misery Mire are both ether, then this is basic. They're just looking for the mirror at this point. And as you said before, mirror can of course be in GT because Swamp is a pendant.
Got a mushroom and a bottle in Hookshot Cave.
Alright, let's see what the medallion is. And it is ether. Okay, so at the very least we know we can enter Turtle Rock. And in the meantime, Illus just, well, finishing up the Skull Woods here. Or rather, has already finished up Thieves Town, now heading into the back of Skull Woods. Knows, well, I only need to kill the moth. I do not need to actually go to the big chest and pick up those bombs. Goomba finding another heart. And the good thing for Illus here is, if he wants to, he can actually enter Turtle Rock after finishing this this dungeon, because of the fact that he does have the ether, he has the Chaos Samaria, and he has the double rods. And what's even better for Illus here, because he didn't pick up the Master Sword on his first trip, he can pick up the Master Sword, or rather the Progressive Sword on the Pyramid's Ledge in one go while actually getting the Pyramid Ferry.
Does indeed make routing just a little bit cleaner and easier for him here.
Speaking of making it clean and easy, half magic plus fire rod is very useful, and well, that brings me to the next point. It might actually be useful to pick up that half magic if you are Goomba, just to make ice pellets a lot faster, because you can spam the fire rod without even breaking a sweat or running or the fear of running out of mana.
Yeah, it's not that far out of the way. It's a nice safety to have.
He doesn't need it though, but and he knows I can. There are plenty of things that he can actually clear, because there was also the opportunity of actually going into Ice Palace, because by doing this, it's also gives him a bit of time for Illus to get into Turtle Rock and see what's in there, because we might still need a medallion for Misery Mire. Or rather, in that same thing, Illus might just check Misery Mire after this in order to verify whether or not they need an additional medallion, yes or no.
Yeah, it's definitely valuable information at this point in the race to know whether you're 1 or 2 items away from Go mode. Because if you find that mirror, you want to know, can I start just beelining this? Or do I still need to be making checks?
Indeed. And while Tempered Sword might be quite helpful in terms of speed, the Goomba and Illus, they have shown in the past that they are able to do Master Sword, Silverless Ganon. So Illus now picking up the Master Sword, and we'll be heading over to Pyramid Ferry.
Yep, especially with Illus having half magic and Goomba having 3 bottles to stow his safeties in, that definitely makes a Master Sword Silverless Ganon look a lot safer than it otherwise might.
In the meantime, though, Illus now back to the light worlds, and yeah, he's heading over to Misery Mire. That's a flute to Mire area that has to be. So yeah, looking on the other side, Yodonashi and Worldwide Wimpy just clearing out some dungeons on their own. On the other side of the world, to be fair, and that Helmasaur King should be going down relatively fast, and it's Ether Misery Mire as well, from what I can see here. I'm pretty positive that I saw that there. So that means that the Mire area should be full clearable as a result.
Yep, and it looks like both the chat and our eagle-eyed tracker are confirming that that is indeed an Ether Misery Mire. So just a mirror away from go mode here. Looks like Illus is going to go ahead and head into that mire.
Yeah, that's 50 minutes into the game, and we only need one more item. And Goomba knows exactly what he needs to pick up. He needs to pick up that, he needs to pick up the big key in the bottom of the Palace of Darkness, and he needs to consider whether or not he wants to pick up the half magic. I believe that the cane was there as well in Harmless Hellway, so he needs to go to the back of Palace of Darkness as well. Well, just making short work of this initial room here, as we do see a crystal pickup from Worldwide Wimpy. Now where does he go? Well, there's one thing that we do need to keep in mind, because the mirror can basically be everywhere at this point, because it can be in TR, it can be in Mire, it can be in Ice Palace. It can't be in Desert Palace, because we already cleared that out completely. And then, so you can't just go most. Like, if you feel behind, then I don't think you have a choice but to just go for it. But I'm pretty sure, looking at how they're routing it right now, that is not going to be the case for the Lost Locationers. Their execution is pretty good.
Yep, at this point, the last locationer strategy has got to be just to divide up the crystal dungeons, full clear the ones that haven't been full cleared yet, and that way your partner at least can go mode them.
Yeah, and that's going to make life a lot easier here. Heart container found by Illus, so that's also a something that they don't need to check on the second entry. In the meantime, Wimpy, finding out that Catfish only has a piece of heart to offer, immediately heading out. And that's the big key of Misery Mire.
Yep, Illus going to be taking that to go check the big chest, which is only a small key, and then heading...
Oh,
looks like he's heading towards Vitreous. I did not notice whether he's found all the items in here yet, or if he's just gambling that the last one's on Viti.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, if it's not on Viti, then Goomba can always just check it later on the way there. I did not. I think that it's mostly because of the speed, the time you lose with the cutscene chest is what's putting him off here.
Illus showing off a nice spooky glitch there.
Right, and Goomba has found the Cane of Samaria, so can now immediately head over to Helmasaur King if he so desires. And we have a Vitreous fight. And these are some nice strats. He knows that the eyes are... actually took a very big hit there. Be a bit careful, Illus, you do not have your partner's red mail.
Yep. Yeah, there are no small hits with Vitreous, especially not when you're on blue mail.
They could have decided to pick up the Magic Cape, opted against it, and this is the price you have to pay for it, Illus. Take a massive hit to the face. But nevertheless, he takes out all those eyes, and then Vitreous. Well, let's see what he gets. Oh, that's going to hurt. So, Ben, if you were in Illus' position right now, would you head straight back into Mire and pick up the cutscene chest, or just continue on your way?
Well, I wasn't counting items precisely. Was there another small key in the pool there?
No. There has to be an item in cutscene.
Yeah, I suppose at this point, Goomba's gonna have to go in there anyway. So, I suppose that is a slightly better use of time, is to hope you've found the mirror by the time your partner goes in there and he can just go mode it, but if not, then he can be the one to do that particular check.
Yeah. Given that they have Desert Palace, if we're looking at Goomba's clearable dungeons, he still has Desert Palace that he can clear. He can still clear still clear Ice Palace. That's going to give Illus enough time to clear out perhaps Ice Palace or head into Turtle Rock himself to find the mirror. That way you don't have to actually check the chest yet. So yeah, this is turning out to be quite a scene. In the meantime, though, Yodonashi on the other screen actually took a death there to blinds, from what I could tell. Didn't quite get the scripted sequence to go the way that he wanted it to, and as a result, well, unfortunate death, and that's going to cost him quite a bit of time here.
Yep, it's that shameful walk all the way back to the boss, and then you have to try it again without being able to rely on the script, since he does start at the top instead of following meekly behind you in his maiden form.
Oh, and he's taking a lot of damage already, so he needs to be very careful here. Oof.
Yep.
Barely dodging that laser.
It's definitely a moment when frustration can set in, and he's going to go ahead and burn that red goo, taking no chances.
Smart move here. And the blinds just needs 9 hits from I believe most damage sources.
All damage sources. If it will damage blind at all, it will take exactly 9 hits, no more, no less.
Exactly. Well, and he got it. So gets those 10 arrows for his trouble. But at the very least, he also gets a crystal. And I like what they're doing here. Goomba now sent into Ice Palace, getting some more information here. And here we're going to be seeing a little bit of new piece of tech. The Icebreaker coming out here for Goomba. Very clean, very clean. Now it's a question of where do you send Illus, and it looks like they're going to be sending Illus up the mountain over to TR, because that's going to make the routing for Goomba that much better.
Yep, definitely the way to go. Take a look in these dungeons that we haven't seen the inside of yet. See if we can find that lonely mirror that we need for Go Mode.
Well, Ice Palace, 2 items down. A rupee and 10 arrows. Very clean sliding there. Keep an eye out for Goomba here. Finds a key. Well, he already found all the items on the right side. I missed the one that was probably in the right side chest, and that's a very fast part of the Ice Palace there by Goomba. So nothing in Ice Palace. And Illus opening up Turtle Rock, the last crystal dungeon that he needs to clear. So, in the meantime, Wimpy now attempting his blind fight. And looks like he will be getting to... No, he doesn't get the script off, but he gets quite a few hits in already. Already 2 heads flying around in that blind area. And also that fire shield is going to be helping a bit against those fire shots from blind. And nicely done there by Wimpy. In the meantime, Goomba now hammering Cold Stare and getting the kill. So yeah, things not looking too great here for Land of the Blind. And well, what is left where Mirror can be that would bring them back into the race?
Yeah, hard to imagine what they could do now to close this commanding lead that Last Locationers has gotten on them. They could, even if they absolutely god routed it from here, if it was hiding somewhere in GT and they decided to just go for broke and and go mode everything between themselves and GT, that's about all they could do.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we found absolutely nothing in the last dungeons that have been cleared so far, all the way up to TR. Tower of Hera, nothing. Well, at this point, of course. I believe it actually had nothing at all. Desert Palace had the flute. But, yeah, we could have just completely skipped checking Ice Palace in terms of items. It's a... I guess there's one option. Has the Smith chain been checked yet?
It has not.
So
hard to imagine either of our teams going too far out of their way for that, but I don't know. If Land of the Blind feels behind enough, they could feel in the mood for some crazy gambles.
And if they find Titan's Mitts, where were the Titan's Mitts again? They were in... forgot where we picked up the Titan's Mitts.
Yeah, there's been so much to keep track of in this match today. I don't
yes,
recall
thanks.
Pyramid Fairy, yes.
So, when they get the Fire Rod, which they will get after doing Digging Game, yeah, chances are no one is going there, but it is a possibility that we will see a check on the Smiths. And, well, to be fair, have we actually checked the hammer packs as well? I don't think so.
Nope, that is definitely one of those that is usually routed in with the Smith chain if you're going to do it at all. Especially since Batter was already checked. Well, and with no mirror, routing that in with Batter's a little rough too.
Exactly. So, I guess that's the only option that they have left. They need to go mode all the dungeons and then hope that it is there. That is basically their saving grace here.
Yep. And they would... they'd also need to eventually make their way around to Shovel Spot, which that's a bit of an out-of-the-way check if you don't have Mirror to route that in with your South Dark World stuff. So, it's... it would have to be a pretty amazing convergence of events.
That is very true. But at the same time, you have to just look at the gameplay here from both Goomba and Illus and their teamwork in this co-op, splitting their routes in such a way that you both route optimally, find what you need, communicate that to your co-runner, and then hey, we suddenly found what we were looking for. So let's go. A bit of trouble there with Laser Bridge. It's a big hit. But what will Illus find here? Will he find a mirror on Laser Bridge? Well, so far, arrows. And another piece of heart. So, Laser Bridge, empty. Except for, of course, the required key. Explaining the icebreaker glitch. That's a good one. I believe it's false. I don't fully grasp the idea, but I do know how to do it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my my understanding is that it tricks the game into believing that Link is still in a doorway, which affects various things. I couldn't get into more detail than that. What you need to know is you need the red cane, and through a series of precise movements, you can phase through a wall and turn Ice Palace from one of the slowest dungeons in the game to potentially one of the quickest if you can go mode it.
Indeed. Now, Illus on Trinex. It's a good thing he got that half magic, because that's going to make the Trinex fight a lot easier. In the meantime, I did not notice that Goomba also picked up that half magic in Halt. So, I mean, it's so close and it gives you so much freedom with your magic usage. It's definitely worth doing. And just now using hammer strats. Clean fight there. Well done.
All right, let's see what's in this cutscene chest. Just 10 arrows up on the upper left.
Okay, well, what's on Trinex? Nothing! It's the heart. Well, it is something, but at this point they no longer need those safeties with the amount of items that they've currently gathered. So, we either have Ganon's Tower left to be checked, or the Smith Chain, plus hammer bags. Well,
Yep. I know what I'd do, and it looks like that's exactly what Illus is doing. Let's head to the most check-dense spot in the game, Ganon's Tower.
Yep. 20 items, if I recall correctly, in GT.
Well, let's see. It's, yeah, it sounds right. I know there's 22 spots in the beginning, and then 4 more in the gauntlet.
There is a way that these items are shuffled into GT, of course, based on the required number of crystals. And there's Tempered Sword and the small key.
Yes, generally speaking, the item pool is shuffled for maximum randomness, with the sole exception of GT, which is weighted just to prevent virtually every seed from being back. Oh, and there's our mirror on the torch.
That's basically... no, they still need the big key in Ganon's Tower, but knowing that mirror is in GT means from this point on, all dungeons are go mode. Not much left, but still. That is yet another check. More arrows. And, well, finding mirror on that torch has basically put this game out of reach for Land of the Blind unless something disastrous happens with Goomba and Illus. So, what I would expect here is Illus finishing off GT and then heading over to both Swamp Palace and Ice Palace. And Goomba most likely heading over to TR into GT, as well as Tower of Hera right after. Actually, what he could do is get the mirror from GT, find the big key in GT, mirror out, go into Tower of Hera, clear that, and then do GT.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the play at this point. You don't want to climb that mountain yet another time if you can help it, which you can.
So you do GT, Hera, Ega 1, Swamp Palace, Antor Ice Palace. So yeah, it's a run. It's a rush to the finish now for the last locationers, and well, in a way, not living up to their name, because actually last locationing the purple chest, for instance, that would be the way. But now finally, Land of the Blind is going to find that shovel in the shovel game. That might set them on the right track here.
Yeah, well, Yodonashi already had that shovel from a while back. It's just a matter of when do they decide to check that shovel spot. And I'm not sure what else Wimpy has to do here. It looks like that might be the way he's going. I don't think he's got much else to check at this point.
Yeah,
meanwhile, Illus taking on his Ice Armos. Still looking for that GT Big Key.
well, let's see what we've got here. We are going to be finding yet another key. 50 rupees, so it's on the right side of GT. That's going to be saving Goomba quite a bit of time, because they do know where the mirror is, and they do know that left side did not have the tempered sword. So I believe there was also a key here in this chest here on the left. Alright, so Illus now is dashing through GT.
Murdering some mummies out of the way and manipulating that crystal switch to get him to the 4 checks on the right-hand side. It's either here or it's in the tile room. And here it is.
It's here. And silvers! Oh, right side GT loaded. This is, for Goomba, this is going to be a very quick GT. Get the mirror, head to the right side, get all the items, and then get a few keys on the left side.
Yep, I believe he really just has to steal the 1 key on the left side before heading right. And with those silvers right there, that's a free time save in the Ganon fight.
It's a very big, very large time save. No need to do the spin strats. Just go straight at him and take him out. So Illus starting the gauntlet here, as Goomba is going to be finishing up to the run. Interesting that Goomba actually chooses to go the way of. Oh wait, there was a key in the big chest. Yes, that was the case.
Yep, it was either grab this one here or steal the one that normally leads to the vanilla big key chest. I think this route may have been slightly faster.
Yeah, it saves that time going back and forth through the screen transitions. And oh my word, Illus! So clean through the gauntlet.
Yep, I blinked and he was halfway through it already. Catching the Stalfos with some splash damage off the fire rod, and dashing into his Lanmo 2 fight.
Yeah. Well, let's see how fast this fight is going to be. 1 hit, 2, and 3 down. That's very, very clean there by Illus. And for an old dungeon seed, we're 2 dungeons away and Agus Tower from for Illus after GT, of course. We're only 1 hour 15 minutes in. This is, of course, the power of having that additional information for your teammate. Able to skip the checks that you don't need to do. It's quite impressive.
Yes, indeed. That can be deceptive. Might make you think that co-op is easy mode, and time-wise it may be, but that just means that so much more pressure is on the execution.
Yeah, because you have to keep in mind where are the items that I need, where are the items that my teammate needs. You have to process so much more information, all while playing the game at this level. And Illus now heading into the final part before Modern 2.
Yep, and all the while communicating effectively with your teammate, coordinating your strategy. This is, in my opinion, one of the harder modes. At least, accepting some of the crazier cross-keys, Randomizer, Hell Sanity variations.
I was in the impression that we were not allowed to talk about it. Well, Illus making short work of Modern 2 as Trinex and Helmasaur King are being taken out by Yodonashi and Goomba. And now it's a long dash along the icy room into Aghanim. Let's see how well he performs at geometry. Not really a nice placement there. That's 0 hits there. And that's 2. One more. This could be a better spot for Illus, or not. Gets one more here on the Aghanim fight. And then it is done. Aghanim is down.
Meanwhile, Goomba heading into his GT climb should be significantly shorter for him, knowing exactly where he needs to go. Just left for the mirror and a key, right for tempered silvers and the big key, and then he's ready to start the gauntlet.
Yep. But do keep in mind you need to mirror out before you do so, or else you're going to have to climb the mountain again, Goomba. He still needs Tower of Hera. And just use the key to go through. Okay, interesting.
Yep, that works.
It works. Okay, he picks up the tempered. I was like, are you going to skip the tempered to Goomba?
Yeah, almost decides he doesn't need it, but says, you know what? It's right here. Speaking of taking slight detours to finish out this all-dungeon seed, Illus heading into his Aga 1 fight, which is necessary before dropping down that pyramid hole and fighting that blue pig. Again, it'll just make fun of you if you try to fight him before doing this.
Yeah, it's one of the neat things that are in Rando, and we're going to see the big key pick up as well as the silvers. And yeah, Goomba needs to pick up this key here in order to actually be able to ascend the GT. Going to get the mirror out, and it's going to be a fast Tower of Hera. Doesn't need to do anything, just pot in, use the Hera pot, and then immediately take out Moldorm, which is going to be a bit easier than Illus had it, because I believe Illus did it with just a hammer.
Yep, Hammer Strats Moldorm is not the worst way you can do it, but with tempered slashes doing hammer damage, you're playing on easy mode.
Wow. I still enjoy that dash strat. Oh, and Wimpy is going to be finding out.
Yep, Land of the Blind side, Wimpy's going to be grabbing his Titans and opening that seed wide open for Land of the Blind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have liked to just find a mirror there, but we already knew what was going to happen. Actually, Yodonashi, considering what do I need to do here? Do I need to put the statue on switch, yes or no? Okay. In the meantime, though, Illus, after finishing off Aghanim 2, now heading over to Aghanim 1.
Aga 1 being one of the more RNG-dependent boss fights in the game. It all comes down to how many blue balls are we going to see.
I mean, on the other hand, it is a relatively safe fight. Just spin to win, and don't get hit by this lightning here. Which is easy to avoid, I would say. As Goomba starts his way up GT. Alright, and as Illus is entering the home stretch after taking out Aghanim 1, he can now start heading over to Swamp Palace and Ice Palace.
We'll see if Wimpy has an easier time with Icebreaker than the last time he attempted it. He was having some D-pad issues that made diagonals hard to hit. Took him quite a while to make through it last time. He was hoping for an easier Icebreaker.
Yeah, Yodonashi actually having a bit of issues here with the torches as well. But perseveres and heads over to Mothula. Also remembering to hit the switch, that's quite important here in when doing Icebreaker. Okay, let's see. Icebreaker, go! No, not yet. And Illus, of course, also knowing I don't need to check anything else, just going to head straight over to the boss. Wimpy, after a few attempts, he'll be able to make it this attempt here. And Illus gets through the wall.
Getting first try there. So for those who don't know, Icebreaker involves, you can see Wimpy setting up the first stage easily enough, positioning yourself in this door on the correct pixel. At that point, you need to hit downright diagonal. If you hit right or down for even a frame, you will not clip into the wall. Wimpy does finally get it.
Yeah. Again, perseveres, managed to get it done. And it's very, very precise in some cases, especially if you really need to press the buttons in the right order. I have a way that I do it. I can't explain it.
Yep, there's a very good tutorial video by Koi out there that can teach you all the details. Takes a little bit of practice, but once you've got it down, it's really not that difficult, especially since you get effectively unlimited retries. For those of us who are doing this casually, not in a race mode, you can take your time and not worry about it. Not like that IPBJ where timing and bomb count and heart count become a factor. Meanwhile, Goomba just swag hovered right past that Moldorm 2 fight and into his own Aga 2 as Illus takes on Cold Stare, making short work of him.
Goomba also a bit better here, the geometry lesson. Managing to completely take down Aghanim in, I think, 3 rounds?
I believe so. Wimpy heading into his Cold Stare fight. Should be manageable enough with Blue Mail, Half Magic, and Fire Rod to his name.
Well, Goomba now heading over to Swamp Palace. Sorry, Illus heading over to Swamp Palace. Goomba, on the other hand, will be clearing out Aghanim's tower. So Goomba about 5 minutes, I think, behind. We're going to have to time this. with when Illus actually gets into swamp. Because Illus can just skip everything, just head straight over to Argus. Wimpy, oof. Managing the icebreaker, but died in the Ice Palace. That's a shame. But yeah, it doesn't really matter how far ahead Illus is of Goomba at this point, because both Illus and Goomba are quite far ahead of Yodonashi and Worldwide Wimpy. And like we said before, something catastrophic has to happen in order to for them to actually catch up. Let's see if Wimpy gets the icebreaker this time. First try. And he gets it.
Oh, almost got it. So, after clipping into the railing, you have to drop your Samaria block and then move exactly 1 frame to the left, which is why all this pause buffering happens. If you accidentally move more than 1 frame, you just push the block up or down. It is possible to recover from that. If you catch yourself in time and only push it a little up or down, you can just try and clip 1 more frame to the left. Wimpy opted to blow up his block and start over and did get it on the next try.
Okay. And now we're going to continue on through Ice Palace here. As Goomba heading over to Agadim and Illus already nearing the end of Swamp Palace.
And Illus about to show off Diver Down, another one of our newly legalized glitches here in the ALTTPR League. This involves using either a bomb or a red cane block to clip oneself into the railing and hop down. It will look as though he is walking above the water, but in fact he has clipped through the water layer and is walking down on the ground below the water there. Saves just a little bit of time pressing a switch and walking through a few screen transitions.
Yeah, it's incredible how much new tech has been discovered this year alone. With Diver Down and Icebreaker, I believe. I don't feel like Herapod is all that old either. That might just be me. It's and yeah, the Illus and Goomba make these things look easy. They have a lot of experience. They are very experienced runners. And also, I believe, top placement in a lot of races already. So yes, we also have the extended stair glitch as another tech that has been discovered in A Link to the Past. And I mean, A Link to the Past, it is a very, it's a classic game, and new things are still being discovered to this day. It is quite amazing. And Illus now finishing up Swamp Palace, getting the pendant at 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 10 seconds, and we'll be heading over to, of course, the final boss of the game, Ganon.
Yep, Illus just melted through his Argus fight. That one's not a difficult boss fight to do, but there are definitely lots of ways to shave little bits of time off of it. And now he's heading into his pig fight with Silver Arrow's Tempered Sword, Blue Mail. I don't know if he has anything in his bottles. I doubt we'll see it, because I doubt he'll need it.
He needs to be a bit careful here, I should say that. Commentator's curse, of course.
Yep.
Immediately gets hit by the spear, and I'm definitely going to inform Illus that you said that here, because...
I stand by my statement. He'll play a little safer now. He won't need those safeties. I say as he takes a bat hit.
What? You are killing Illus. This is how Illus will
for my next prediction, down. Illus will do this silverless just for the swag and do it perfectly.
I'm pretty sure we're going to have to cut your mic at this point. Well, let's see what happens here. Okay, he gets at least 1 hit off, 2 hits. And we'll be able to get the torch glitch as well. Oh, this is a very good fight here for Illus. Whoa! Needs to be very careful, but he does get Ganon.
Green final phase. Illus has just one more obstacle to surmount. The deadly bridge that leads to the Triforce room. Tell the truth, you've fallen down here at least once, right? I know I have.
I haven't, actually. And Illus finishes with an SRL time of 1:29.13. And we will now wait until Goomba heads over to Argus.
Yes, for those just tuning in, this is indeed a team co-op race. Goomba and Illus representing the last locationers. Their final score will be determined by the average of their 2 times. So, Goomba's execution between here and the end of the pig fight would matter, if not for the fact that he would have to virtually walk away from his controller. But it matters for Fantasy League stats.
You have to imagine, it is only it's less than 1.5 hours for an old dungeon seed. That is quite fast. Of course, this is of course a co-op race, so you have a lot of additional information. But these seeds usually get up to at least to about an hour. Well, at least mine get up to an hour or 2. But yeah, it's a very good pace here for the last locationers. Goomba just making short work of Argus here.
Yep, takes a single hit from a puffball, but recovers easily enough. Still in plenty of time. And decides to use the silver arrows on a very tight hitbox to finish off Argus.
Alright, and with 1 hour 30 minutes, well, exactly 1 hour 31 minutes, the screen goes black and he heads over to Ganon's tower. And you know, the beautiful part here is you can just save and quit, end up at the pyramid itself. And I believe Goomba actually has some safeties that he can use if he wants to. Even though he doesn't.
Showing off a nice spin off the trident there for a little double tempered spin hit on Ganon.
Very clean fights. And we're not allowed to say anything about bats hitting them because.
What about bats missing him? I predict all the bats will miss him every time. They will virtually veer out of the way to avoid him. Like the crowd parting for a famous celebrity.
Alright, and now Goomba getting to the final phase. Does not manage to get the torch glitch, but doesn't really matter because he's going to get that double here. Actually, almost gets his ripple. And that does it for Goomba. He's going to just have to walk across a bridge. And that means that, well, I don't think we need to average this race. With both of the last locationers finishing before Land of the Blind, there cannot be an average that is slower than Land of the Blind. So as a result, last locationers take down this race and
yes,
are
indeed.
one step
Goomba
closer.
Does finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, 45 seconds, which, for record-keeping purposes, does give the last locationers an average time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 59 seconds.
That is pretty good. Pretty good. And yeah, for Land of the Blind, they're now heading over to, looks like, TR for Yodonashi and Wimpy heading into Misery Mire, splitting up their routes, very efficient to get that additional, get the time, make the most of their time.
We'll see whether we can get either of our winners in here for a bit of a post-race interview.
Exactly.
As Yodonashi heads into his Turtle Rock and Worldwide Wimpy moving along in his Misery Mire, aiming for some spooky glitch. Looks like he's missed it, and he decides, I'm not going to mess around with this.
Yeah, just take the fastest route the moment you get that chance. If it doesn't work, then go for the backup. Every second you try to do it again, it's just going to cost you additional time. And they're going to be finding out exactly where the mirror is after finishing off Turtle Rock. Oh, Yodonashi needs to get through that door. Pretty.
Yep, Yodonashi, definitely the rookie runner on the team. He has only been running the game for a couple 2-3 months here. And there we go. He remembered how those eyeballs move.
Yeah, if you, it's very. You need to know. There are a few of those lasers that only shoot when you are actually looking at them or looking away from them. That's not the way you're supposed to go, Yodonashi. There's nothing there. Speaking of which, how do you even end up there? I don't know. Alright, heading over to the right side, and Wimpy making short work of that of that victory in the meantime. Finding the map, not what he wanted, but it is what he got. I'm going to use some goo, probably going to be damage boosting through these crystal rollers here, and heading over to the chest. So the hookshot doesn't quite manage to get it. And then the way back through the crystal rollers at this point, down to 2 hearts, needs to be very careful that he doesn't die on the way down to the rock. As we are watching Wimpy also heading up to Turtle Rock, actually getting a one of those dead rocks in the way, but fortunately there are plenty of ways to get around that. Yodonashi needs to be a bit careful he doesn't get hit, but managed to kill it easily with a fire rod, insta kill. Needs to be careful with these chain chomps. They don't nom him because even with Blue Mail, it's going to be lethal.
And as we work behind the scenes to try to get our runners in here for an interview, if you're looking for more Link to the Past Randomizer League races to watch today, we do have one more race today between the Talking Heads and the Super Salty Dungeoneers over on Speed Gaming 5. That will be this evening at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Exactly. And of course, well, you have to give it here to the last location. Very well executed, very well communicated. You could easily see at which point, though, the communication was more precise, and at which point it was less precise. For instance, with the Waterfall Ferry, it was just there's an item at Waterfall Ferry, or rather Pyramid Ferry. You only need to check one of them, and this just showcases once again how great these runners are and what their capabilities are. in the terms of running these A Link to the Past seeds. And yeah, I have to say, I'm very impressed by both Goomba and Illus. And as we progress here, Yodonashi heading deeper into Turtle Rock. We'll take out the fire rod. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to be stealing that key. He needs to be a bit careful there. Takes a lot of damage from that eye. As, of course, Randomizer continues to do checks. And it's basically going to come down to they're still going strong. The Land of the Blind, they must know that their opponents have already finished. Going to get that time in.
Yep. Maybe just just wanting to get that little bit of practice in for next time.
Yeah, get that icebreaker practice in, because I believe that that the Lost Occasioners have a match tomorrow. Which I believe you will be running and Wimpy will be running against the Lost Occasioner.
Yep, that'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Both of them seem to have stopped running, I think. That is yeah, the timer has stopped. And that is a... check here. Yes, that is a forfeit from Wimpy. And that is also a forfeit from Yodonashi. So, yeah, they noticed, okay, this race is over. We're not going to get there. And we got our practice in for the moment. So let's see if we can, like Ben has been saying, let's see if we can get the runners in. So please hold on for just 1 second. I think we are being joined by one of the runners.
Yep, looks like we've got Worldwide Wimpy in here. How's it going, Wimpy?
This seed's RNG was dumb. Fire rod on shovel dig spot, and then you had to go do Pyramid Fairy to get the Titan's Mitts. Unless you big brained that and did that first, you were doing density checks, and that was it.
And it looks like we're also joined by Goomba. Goomba, GG's, and congratulations on the win.
Hey, GG, thank you.
Yeah, very well played, and about 1.5 hours average on both of you. So, tell us a bit about the seeds. What were you thinking as you were going through it? Because at the start we saw an immediate divergence. That's just to get as much checks in as possible at the start, right?
Yeah, I mean, I figure may as well split up immediately, you know? Get as much information as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's what we usually do. GG, by the way.
GG, yeah, you guys' routing was perfect for this. For this seed to be an hour and a half, perfect routing, period.
Yeah, I feel really good about how we routed this game, or the seed, aside from some of the early game.
The early game messy. Was a bit messy here.
I ended up going to Desert Palace without the boots. That was kind of bad. But
I did the same thing. I said, we got a book for a reason.
Yeah, no, it's hard to avoid, I think.
Yeah, it was wild because like I felt like we were doing real good. You know, we were clearing dungeons fairly quickly. We were getting items until at the end we just ended up on Wimpy and I ended on a hunt for mirror. We got stuck on. We need to find that mirror someplace just to find out that it was in GT.
Yeah, it dawned on us that we had all the items to get to GT, so we should probably just go to GT.
Yeah, that's what we did. Is we just got stuck on. We need to get this mirror. We need to get this mirror, and you know, there's a couple different things that I think we could have done a little bit better. But at the end of the day, you guys would have been real hard to beat by anybody with how well you guys did there. So, good job.
Initially, the plan was for Illus to go to Turtle Rock after he got the Titan's Mitts. But then I was like, Wait, if Myers also Ether, we can just go to GT, so you should probably check that first, and then Meyer was
Yeah,
also Ether.
And since Meyer was Ether, I could just kind of rush to GT, leave out some stupid checks like the Meyer cutscene chest, which Goomba had to do then, unfortunately for me, because I wasn't quick enough. But yeah, it worked out fine. Like, our suspicion that the mirror was in GT was spot on. I think the other location that was left was like Sniff Chain, which is with the sequence of items that happened there, like a super stupid check. So
Yeah.
we did just ignore it.
Yeah, when we like having to complete Thieves Town to get the myths from Pyramid Fairy, like going back to Smith Chain after that it's so bad. So we just decided not to do that.
Yeah, I didn't make that decision. That's exactly what I did. Is I went back to do Smith Chain because I was like, maybe the mirror's there.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Oh, I
as
think
you found, I have to wonder, the moment you found Shovel on the digging game, and then the irony of that, of course.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a chuckle.
Well, the thing is I normally leave Shovel for looping in with Smith Chain. It's like it's easiest to do it there with me, or I can do everything all together. You know, the likelihood of what I needed being on there versus dipping into Skull Woods, doing Pod, doing all the other dungeons just didn't make any sense. So I ended up last locationing the Fire Rod because it's Dig Spot, and we got Shovel real late. What's the likelihood of that actually having something on it?
Yeah, I ended up checking the shovel right away after my next save and quit, just because I wanted to see if Illus needed to go get it or not.
In the case of me, I probably should have checked it right away because I was right there, and I think I did a few more checks right in the area. It was a bad decision on my part to not check it, I guess.
We didn't have the mirror at that point in time, so that's a difficulty that's added to it.
Like, when we got Dark World access, we had Illus start at Pod because he already had the bow from Eastern. And I did Skullwoods, and then went down, did Thieves Town, did game down to Hive Cave, and then up to Catfish. Then after that, I save and quit and checked the shovel, and ended up getting the Fire Rod.
Yeah, I didn't end up doing Shovel until I was already done with Thieves Town, doing Catfish Pod. So
Yeah. I didn't do Pod until really late, because I knew it was only the Cane of Samaria in there, and I didn't really need it yet, so I wanted to see if I could get the mirror first, so I could do Pod and Eastern together more effectively. But then we got to the point where we were just assuming the mirror was in GT, so I just went and did it.
Yeah, that's where I didn't do Tower of Hera because I knew that there was nothing in there, so I was thinking, okay, hopefully I could just get the mirror and be able to route Tower of Hera and clear Turtle Rock, go over, do Tower of Hera, GT, good to
and
go.
I was doing the same thing to finish Desert Palace because we didn't have Lampith time to finish Desert after getting the frickin' hammer in there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't end up doing Tower of Hera until after I got the mirror out of GT. I just walked back out and mirrored for it.
Hey, all right, GG though. Like, this was a lightning fast time for how mean this seed was. Especially the RNG was mean too. Lots of fireballs from Helma and stuff.
Well, we certainly enjoyed commentating you and watching the execution, and we also enjoyed watching the way things were routed, because it was, like you said, it's all those few decisions that make rando, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really like these co-op races. I think it's a very interesting format. Allows for some pretty interesting routing decisions to maximize efficiency.
And we're both like, our strong points would be routing, I guess. So we can like communicate very well and split the work kind of well. So it has always worked out well for us.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this seed as a co-op, if you would run this normally versus as a co-op seed, well, I'm pretty sure that's an easy to answer question. But do you feel this is one of those seeds that's really good as a co-op seed because it has that much divergence? Like, it had two very big divergent points, if I recall correctly.
I feel like this was a really good co-op seed, yeah, because there was a lot Like there was a lot of options. Like pretty much as soon as we got access to the Dark World, there was just a lot open. And it kind of bottlenecked into those Titansmiths and Pyramid Fairy, but after that it opened up again pretty quickly. So
Yeah, it was like what do you call that? Some kind of sand clock.
Hourglass.
Basically,
Hourglass.
in terms hourglass. Yeah, of course. And it looked it kind of felt that way. So it was nice. Like we were getting bottlenecked, and then we were like we had a lot of options again, and we just used it, and
Yeah.
it was very nice.
yeah,
Excellent.
it would have been pretty bad to play as a solo seed. Though,
Yeah, I
I
think this would have been a
Mostly.
very long
Absolutely.
seed as a solo seed.
think. Mostly because of the Fire Rod.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would have been. I don't do get very fast seeds. I would have easily been 4 hours on this seed myself. I'm lucky to have Wimpy here. He's got a lot of experience and was able to help me out with where I should go and shouldn't go.
Well, of course. Well, with that said and done, thank you for running. Of course, it was a good match to watch, and I would like to, of course, also tell you to follow the runners, which is Illus, Goomba, Yodonashi, and Worldwide Wimpy. Sure that we can. Yes, Ben, perfect. Of course, thanks to our trackers because they've been doing an amazing job. I mean, there are 4 screens to keep track of. Of course, the work is a bit divided. So also, thank you to our trackers for doing the difficult work. Of course, thanks to Ben for being here with me. Hopefully, you're happy to have me here as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I had a lot of fun. Big thanks to everybody at the Speed Gaming Network. We've got plenty more randomizer action coming up all week. We've got a full day tomorrow, full day Wednesday, 1 match on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and then another full day Saturday. And then after that, it's on to the playoffs. So lots of league to watch in the future.
Indeed. All right, and of course, make sure to check gaming 1 through 6, and of course the ALTTPR leagues 1 through 4. And if you're looking for the schedule, you can also find that on speedgaming.org, and you can find the rest of the remaining matches that have already been scheduled. So, any final words from the runners here?
GG and screw this seed, honestly.
GG, I heard you haven't been running for too long, so keep at it, and it's gonna be easier over time.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, co-op is very fun, and I enjoyed it.
It's always nice seeing new faces in the community. So welcome, I guess. Newer faces, I should say. But yeah, GG, guys.
All right. Ben, any final words?
Thanks to everybody, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.